What's up, guys? It's time for another list of early 90s horror movies you must watch. Today is a very special subgenre of horror that was only really around in the early 90s for a small period of time. That is what I like to call occupational slashers. Basically, this is born from Maniac Cop. I believe, from my knowledge, that's the first one, the grandfather of them all. If anybody knows any earlier than that, let me know, because I'm pretty sure Maniac Cop is the OG. But of course, that's an 80s movie through and through. The sequels could technically go on this list. There's a bit of crossover. They could also easily go into unnecessary sequels or something like that. So I'll just throw those in there as an honorable mention. Maniac Cop 2 and 3. And if you want to skip back to the 80s, the original Maniac Cop, all pretty great movies, except maybe 3, but it has its moments. But anyway, very close to that movie, and definitely derivative of it, Psycho Cop 2, which could technically also go into unnecessary sequels. There's a lot of crossovers here. The original Psycho Cop is technically an 80s movie and does have that feel, but it's real close, so you could count it too. So why not? But the main one is Psycho Cop 2. This is a USA Up All Night special. It's one of the sleaziest ones on the list. It stars Bob Vance from Vance Refrigeration from The Office. His name in here is Joe Vickers. He's basically an undead, Satan-worshipping cop who focuses in on a group of yuppies in a diner who are planning to throw an unsanctioned office party after business hours. He follows them there and kills them. This is full of one-liners. It's a great performance by Robert Schaefer, who is Bob Vance. It's got a lot of great kills. Was directed by Adam Rifkin. It's got an insane ending. The whole movie's pretty insane. I highly recommend it. It's hilarious. All right, number 2 or 4, depending on your perspective, is harder to find, and it is called The Surgeon. I don't own this movie in a physical form. I think there was a DVD, but it's kind of hard to get, I think. I know it's out of print. Overseas in some places, I think maybe Spain, this movie was called Exquisite Tenderness, which is a horrible name, but it does kind of come from one of the lines in the movie or something. But this is a pretty weird, pretty fun movie about a surgeon who is basically running around a hospital, injecting people with some kind of fluid that makes their veins burst. It's really weird. Most of the effects in this movie are like the bladder effects that makes it look like your veins are pulsating, and it's got a pretty crazy cast. Malcolm McDowell is in this, among a few others. I know you can watch this, last time I checked, on YouTube as a Monster Vision episode with Joe Bob segments. That's a really good way to watch it. Other than that, it can be hard to find. Maybe eventually we'll get a Blu-ray of it from like Vinegar Syndrome or somebody, who knows. But yeah, The Surgeon, aka Exquisite Tenderness. Number 3, the second in the running theme of doctors, is The Dentist. This stars Corbin Burnson. It's directed by Brian Usna, the legend. It's kind of a slasher, but honestly, it's a little bit of a character study about this rich Beverly Hills type guy. He's a dentist. He's got OCD and probably a couple other mental problems, and he catches his wife cheating on him with the pool boy, which kind of throws him over the edge, and he decides that he's got to remove the cavities from the world. It's really campy, really fun. It's got a great performance by Corbin Burnson, music by Alan Howarth, and of course it's produced and directed by Brian Usna, which is kind of a seal of quality in my opinion. If that name is on a movie, you can probably get at least some enjoyment out of some aspect of it. Usually the effects and how far the story goes in terms of batshit insanity. There is also a sequel, The Dentist 2. It actually might be a little better in my opinion than the first one, but This one is definitely worth checking out, as well as the sequel, and I highly recommend it. And number 2, and the third with a doctor theme. Everybody knows this one, Dr. Giggles. This has Larry Drake as Dr. Giggles. This one is kind of like an urban legend about a crazy doctor that lives in a small neighborhood that turns out to be true. This has the chick from Charmed. What was her name? I can't find it. The chick who played Piper on Charmed is in this. Dougie Fresh is in this. Very short role by him, but notable. Really creative kills. And of course, a great performance by Larry Drake as just a crazy, unhinged doctor. I think everybody's heard of this one. I remember back in the 90s, this one had pretty good marketing. It had a good theatrical release. As a kid, I thought that it was a pretty big deal. I remember seeing ads in the papers thinking it was like the next big horror franchise, potentially. Of course, that's coming from the brain of a little kid. This was 1992, so who knows how adults were receiving it, but kind of hard to find. Out of print DVD, I'm pretty sure out of print Blu-ray. This seems like something that Scream Factory already should have done. Hopefully they will eventually, because it deserves it for sure. Dr. Giggles. Check it out. And last on the list, but definitely not least, is the king of them all, Ice Cream Man. This is by far my favorite of the list. This stars, of course, Clint Howard. It also has Olivia Hussey from Black Christmas, which is crazy. I'm pretty sure most people know this one too. This is, of course, just about an ice cream man who goes around the neighborhood killing people and using them as ingredients for his ice cream. And 3 little kids who are called Team Rocket, they set out to stop him. Crazy movie. Also has Jan Michael Vincent in it. He has a great scene where he basically walks through an abandoned mental hospital, punching people out as he goes. Insane movie. I think legendary movie. I think it's easy to say this is legendary. A big one that I watched a lot as a kid. Always seemed to be on late night TV. Always in the video store. I think everybody's video store came with a copy of this automatically. Crazy practical effects. Way above its budget. I'm pretty sure this is a no budget movie made by a porn producer who just wanted to get into horror because he heard there was money in it. And this is the result, and it's beautiful. There will never be another movie like this. This is one of the best good bad movies ever, in my opinion. And while I think this is going to be the one that most people have seen, if you haven't, definitely check it out because it's awesome. And that's it for the list. I mean, it's just one of those things that happened in the 90s for about a span of 5 years. Seemed like it was gonna be maybe a lasting trend, but just didn't last, probably for obvious reasons, because they're all incredibly inherently campy and stupid, but in a good way. They're custom built for one-liner killers, all thanks to Freddy Krueger being popular. They're also custom built for like themed kills and practical effects, themed weapons, and really silly gags. In most cases, they're all leaning way more towards comedy than they are horror, and intentionally so, with the exception of maybe The Surgeon, which kind of takes itself seriously, and The Dentist, which is kind of intentionally campy, but is also at the same time actually effectively creepy a lot of the time. This is actually one of the categories that's pretty much it on it. There are not a lot of movies that fit that bill outside of from Maniac Cop to Ice Cream Man, I believe was the last one made, maybe The Dentist. We've probably gotten some sense here and there into the 2000s. You could probably technically fit Drive Through in there or Ice Cream Truck, stuff like that. But none of them did it as good as it was done in the 90s. It was just a thing that was of its time that's never gonna be recaptured as it was. And like a lot of these movies, you know, they catch a bad rap for being stupid, but if you give them a chance. There's a lot of fun to be had with them. I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've seen these movies or if you plan to see them and what you think of them if so. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time.